Okay everyone, so today I have 4 free-to-play decks to share with you that you could take onto the ladder and hopefully get some wins with. We've got free-to-play Silence Priest, free-to-play Murloc Shaman, free-to-play Secret Paladin, and free-to-play Token Druid. I think with the latest expansion, Rise of Shadows, or perhaps more importantly the latest rotation of a lot of sets into Wild, Standard right now is actually a really good format for budget players, for free-to-play players, because the power level is a little bit lower. There's much fewer legendaries just sort of in the standard format right now, and as a result the average price of most decks has fallen. But in particular there's some really strong looking archetypes that don't absolutely require some legendaries. I mean, for example, this Silence Priest doesn't have any legendaries in it, and I haven't found any versions that do run any legendaries. Things like Murloc Shaman, Secret Paladin can be upgraded with legendaries, so if you want a free to play deck to start with, and then you later want to upgrade it, these would be great choices. The Token Druid deck as well can function without legendaries. You can run it with Archmage Vargoth, in fact, but is another one that can be tweaked a lot with legendaries and stuff. So we're going to go through them one by one, look at each one, say a little bit about what they're all about, and then play a game with each. And we're going to try and get a good game with each, so you know, if someone concedes on turn 2, we'll skip that one. But let's start with Silence Priest. So you probably know the archetype. The idea is you play cards like Ancient Watcher, and let me find another one like Arcane Watcher, Hengeclan Shadequill, even things that have very high stats but large drawback. Arcane Watchers can't attack unless you got spell damage. Ancient Watcher just can't attack at all. And then the idea is you silence that card. So we've got a lot of ways to silence. We've got Silence, obviously, Dalaran Librarian, and most interestingly perhaps Unsleeping Soul, which silences a friendly minion and then summons a copy of it as well. So there's a ton of experimentation to be done in this deck. You know, we could put in Forbidden Words, other sort of removal spells like that. I'm not sure if this Witchwood Grizzly is completely right. The way that this deck has been built, we've got an Inner Fire Divine Spirit package combo in there, because a lot of these things do have quite high HP. If you've got it though, maybe you could even throw in the Lady in White into this deck. That does buff a few of your cards, apart from Faceless Rager, I guess, which it weakens. So yeah, we've also got a little draw package. We've got the Acolyte of Pain, Wild Pyromancer, Northshire Cleric, Circle of Healing. So if you don't know that already, if you kind of get all 3 of those cards down, once the Acolyte, the Pyromancer, and the Cleric, and then you like cast 1 spell, it's going to damage all of your minions. You get a card draw from Acolyte of Pain, then you can Circle of Healing, heals all of your minions. You draw 3 cards from Northshire Cleric. The Pyromancer goes off again, you draw more cards. So it's a good way to sort of fuel your deck. Anyway, let's jump into a game with it and see how we do. So I have to admit, I haven't played this deck before, but I think it should be fairly simple to figure out. We're against a warrior, so I'm going to assume they're playing bombs, because that's what the most popular sort of warrior stuff to do lately is. I think Northshire Cleric is a keep, but we want to be mulliganing for some of our things to silence. You don't want to end up, like, because this deck's kind of built with a few different packages, you need to draw multiple packages at the same time, otherwise it's not going to work out for you. Like, if you draw all of your silence cards but nothing to silence, no good. If you draw all of your minions but no silencers, then none of your minions can attack, so you're not going to get anywhere. But there's sort of control warrior decks on the ladder right now. There's bomb warrior decks as well, like a Blastmaster Boom. But I'm assuming we're going for the bombs, and also a lot of them are a mix. Like Blastmaster Boom decks can be quite controlling. Our opponent's roping on turn 1. I can't believe they've got that much to think about. Mega Assembly, sure. My video voice threw you for a loop, made you think I got into YouTube somehow. It's just a little different. Gonna attack and do nothing else. Pass the turn. So if our opponent's playing Omega Assembly, then we can assume that they're trying to get to 10 mana. They're probably a control deck. So that is a little scary. It means we're probably going to have to like look for our combo in somewhere. So we're going to probably try and Divine Spirit Inner Fire stuff for the win. But this isn't like old like Wall Priest and stuff like that, where you want to be holding onto your combo pieces for as long as possible. I think here we really want to get going as soon as we can. You know, if we could just turn this into a 12-12, for example, as long as it can attack. Keep in mind, you don't want to turn things into 12-12s when they can't attack, and when you silence it, the buffs will go. But yeah, if we can make this into a 12-12 and just hit face a few times with it, I think that's good enough. I don't think we need to be looking for combo kills necessarily. We just want to use our Divine Spirit and our Inner Fire as the buffs that they were probably originally printed to be. I don't know if these cards are originally printed as like combos. So there's a silence, so that's pretty great. We can draw some cards here. So we get to draw 3 cards with this Circle of Healing. And then maybe next turn we could even go for the Divine Spirit Inner Fire. But for now, let's just draw another card. Try and get this thing's HP as high as possible. So that felt like a pretty good turn. I'm not sure about the Witcher Grizzly thing. This feels really strange to me. It's good against aggro decks, but like only that, really. Hecklebot seems like something that is not that good against our deck. It's hard to get through, I suppose. So, how do we want to play this? I kind of want to hit the Pyromancer into this before we start playing any spells.
What must I do?
What must you do? It's a good question. Or I could silence it. So I would like to do that. And then... Okay, yeah, I think I found a play that I like. We're going to buff this thing up. As I said, if we could get this thing reasonably strong, that would probably be for the best. And then do that. And then we smacked him for 12, and that's a lot of damage. That's pretty good. And if we get brawled, we've got a 1 in 3 chance for this living. And, you know, there's no chance that they're going to get enough armor to kill this. Dynamatic's not going to kill it, so I think the only way to really get rid of it is a lucky brawl. And if Ancient Watcher lives, then that's not bad. Oh, or Slam Execute, that would also work. I'm guessing is what's about to befall us. Salty Brim says, I really like Silence Priest as a free-to-play deck. It's really optional to have any legendaries, and the real meat of the deck is mostly common and rares. It really is optional, is what you're trying to say. Yeah, absolutely. My only problem is, it might not be the most powerful deck in the world. So how big is this thing? You got 6 cards in your hand, so you're a 3/6? I'm just thinking like next turn I could play Arcane Watcher and Unsleeping Soul. I guess, to like try and spend mana efficiently. The only thing is, you can see we're kind of running out of steam now, right? We need to get like another draw engine going or something. Pick up some Acolytes and Wild Pyromancers and such. Because really the aim of the deck is to steamroll the board. And it does fare badly against really hard control decks like this. I played this matchup but the other way around yesterday against a friend. And it didn't go well for them because I was just able to kill everything that they played. However, this warrior seems to be having a somewhat worse time of things. Henge Clan Shade Quill is pretty awesome actually. So we'll just play both of these. We're getting slightly punished by a brawl. Oh, a bunch of numbers. 0976707852. I hope that's not your telephone number, but you're cute Pikachu. Thank you very much for your follow. I really appreciate it. Hope that you're enjoying the stream. God, that'd be an interesting way to try and give your number to people, right? Just make your Twitch username your phone number. I don't know. I don't think that's a good way to pick up a partner. Or pick up a penguin. Unfortunately, that does heal them for 5. But this thing will be able to attack once we Unsleeping Soul it. We get Unsleeping Soul again. So this is lethal on the board. They need like another brawl ideally. If they were to Dr. Boom, that would get them out of lethal at least. What other options are available to them? Obviously Dynamatic not really any good. Super Collider? Weapons... Oh, Weapons Project Shield Slam. Second Shield Slam? Okay. Doing pretty well out of this. So I got to hold on for quite a lot longer there. We've got an Acolyte of Pain. I'm just going to play it out. Part of me is really tempted to Divine Spirit it, but I think we're fine here. How's my positioning? I think this is good, because if they equip Super Collider and hit this, then that hits into the Acolyte of Pain. My Arcane Watch is protected. This wouldn't die. Like, what other options do I have? I can put the Witcher Grizzly next to this. Yeah, no, this is, I think this is definitely how you want to position. With Super Collider in mind, at least. There's no other positioning matters cards really in Warrior, right? It's not like they've got Crushing Walls. Obviously, if Crushing Walls was a consideration, then you wouldn't want the Acolyte of Pain in the middle. But I think we're fine here. Trying to fill the silence while our opponent ropes. I mean, I get it. Like control can be hard. So can aggro, obviously. Any deck can be hard. It's all about making the right decisions. Oh, please just hit my... Yes! Draw me cards. I didn't seem to do very much for them. Can we just win? Yeah, I believe so, right? So there we go. Unfavored matchup, I feel, and we actually managed to get the win. That's really sweet, I'm very pleased, but you saw the power there. We're against like a Wallet Warrior deck. God knows how much dust their deck costs. We managed to pull off a win as Silence Priest. Sweet. Alright. So let's have a look at one of the other free-to-play decks. So we just did free-to-play Silence Priest, let's look at free-to-play Murloc Shaman. Okay, so the idea of free-to-play Murloc Shaman is very, very simple. You just play a ton of Murlocs and hit your opponent in the face with them. Now obviously there are a couple of legendaries. Well, there's one legendary in particular that you might think that this deck would need, and that is Scargill. Not Arthur, Scargill. Have I spelled it? Have I spelled Scargill wrong? Gill. What on earth? What's he called then? Oh, he's only got one L. Okay, so you might think that Scargill is really necessary for this deck. 4 mana, 4/4. Your Murlocs cost 1. Don't get me wrong. Good card, but not necessary, I don't think. The real MVP of this deck is absolutely 100% Underbelly Angler. If you untap with Underbelly Angler, that's it. You've got infinite Murlocs now. I mean, not literally. But this just gives you so much value for such a cheap cost. So yeah, I mean, basically, just play a bunch of Murlocs, hit your opponent in the face with them, try and finish them off with like a Bloodlust. There's not much more to it. There's some experimentation to be done. You could have a more sort of spell heavy version of this deck. You might consider wanting to put like Hagatha the Witch in for like a late game value-ish plan. I mean, you are playing mostly minions. That is a legendary though, but I'm just saying like these are options that you could experiment with. If you felt so inclined, you might feel the need to put Hexes and Lightning Storms. You might want to put Lightning Bolts in. Lickham is a very strong card right now, so you might want to do that. You've already got Overload in the form of Sludge Slurper, but maybe you take out some of your weaker Murlocs and throw in the Lickham instead. But for now, let's just run it as is. I'm running a split between Henge-Clan Hag and Nightmare Amalgam. I'm not sure how right that is. These might be some of the first Murlocs that I consider taking out, but let's just give it a go as is, see what happens, see if we can overrun our opponent. Alright, against Rogue. So Thief Rogue could be quite likely. I don't know, Rogue's always in a funny place. You can never really tell what Rogue's going to be. I don't think we want Henge-Clan Hag. This is like a pretty good start right here. Grimscale Oracle, I'm not sure about keeping that, but... No cards in the deck are above 5 costs, so you don't really feel too bad about, like, playing any of them, really. They've gone for a Pilfer. Now, if they're turn 1 pilfering, that makes me think they've probably got Underbelly Fence in hand. Underbelly Fence becomes a 3/4 with Rush, right? So let's... I think this is going to be my play anyway, but if we do it like this, hopefully at least one she'll live, and then the other one can kill the fence. And that's like kind of as good as we can do. This is an insane 1-drop for next turn, because that's like 3 mana worth of value right there. You play this, you get random 2 cost. Very strong. Okay, they didn't have the fence. Which works out very well for us, because it means our Tidecaller gets to live. Please be a Murloc? Just... Your cards that summon minions summon twice as many. Alright, well we have 1 card that... We could summon 2 Murlocs with Hench Clan Hogseed instead of just the 1! Yeah, I got under... Okay. But it seems like they didn't have the Underbelly Fence, and they're just going for the pill for turn 1 because it was like the best thing to do. Oh my god, our Khadgar's living! But unfortunately I don't think we can do much with it. Unless I like... No, I mean there's no way I'd want to Hench Clan Hogsteed into Grimscale Oracle. Could there? Could there be? I'd probably rather Underbelly Angler into Grimscale Oracle. If this was a Murloc, if this was the other way around, Murloc that summoned a beast, I'd be in a pretty good spot. I guess I could get the value from it and then trade the Khadgar in, because I don't need the Khadgar after this turn. So okay, actually. Yeah, actually this is fine, I think. Get 2 Murlocs instead of just the 1. Incredible. And then we trade in our Khadgar and hit for 6. Now Rogue doesn't have a great deal of ways to deal with wide boards. They've got Fan of Knives, which is obviously the scary one here. And they've got Vanish. As we see, neither of those coming down this turn. But pretty good. Do I want to play Toxfin? I think I do. I want to make you poisonous, and then I want to buff all of your HPs. RIP Khadgar, your purpose was to summon 1 extra 1/1. Hey, it's good enough. If we get a Bloodlust next turn with this board, we win. And that could well be because of Khadgar. Is this a Vanish?
This guy's toast.
No? Fan? Ancestral Spirit? Ancestral Spirit doesn't seem to do it. Alright, so we just Bloodlust and win. This is excellent, this has turned out really well. Content's so easy to make when you can just win every game, right? Okay, so I think you basically got to see how the deck works. There's more to it than that. Should we play a second game of that just in case? We can edit it out in post if it ends up being too much. Let's see what happens. I just feel like that game of Murlocs was so quick. Probably because we went against a warrior that roped every turn. Then we can move on to the other decks. Another rogue! Okay. So we got a very interesting hand. You don't want to keep Soul of the Murloc, I don't think. I think you do want to keep Toxfin because it's that good, but it's not really a 1-drop. It's not something you want to be playing on turn 1. So part of me's thinking, let's actually mulligan for Sludge Slurper and Tidecaller more heavily. Yeah. I agree with that. Because if we've got something that it certainly helps your point if you win your game where you're showcasing a deck, absolutely. Now if they don't pilfer... Oh, they got the pizza card back. Fantastic. Yeah, I think we start with our Angler here. And if this sticks, we should be able to just, hopefully, very, very hopefully, snowball with it. Backstab? Ouch. Yeah, I mean maybe there's a good case for saying I should have seen that coming. Maybe I've thrown away like one of the best resources in my deck. but I'll live with it. So it was either player 2-1 or player 2-2. This is kind of effectively like a 3-1, right? A 3-2, I should say. That's why I went for this play. I feel like it's slightly better. Another Soul of the Murloc. This is not really it's not really a good hand. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't really want a Soul of the Murloc on only 2 Murlocs. But if only one thing lives, although that's not gonna happen, right? So they've got a full clear. We're going to struggle to get off the ground now. It's a shame we don't have a call in the finishes anymore. So I think this might be a good example of a loss. We'll just edit this one out, it's fine. I'm not even entirely sure how serious I might be there. We might end up just editing this one out. Mostly because I feel bad, because like I feel like I just threw the game. Well, we'll see. I know, what we need is a Murloc Tasty Fin. And then we can start to get off the ground, I feel. Pretty good fan. Even if we draw Underbelly Angler here, we need another Murloc after that as well. Oh, that's just no good. So yeah, you can see the problem here actually with a Murloc Shaman is if you get behind, you're probably going to stay behind. You don't have many comeback mechanics. The idea is to get ahead early and stay ahead. And here, you know, Rogue have done their job very well of controlling the early game, which is often what Rogue tries to do, to varying degrees of success. I love it. It's like steam coming off the card back. It's actually making me slightly hungry. And early Myras. I'm guessing they're playing like Chef Nomi. And they know that we've got no way to deal with a board full of 6/6s. So they're probably going to basically win next turn. Well, that's one way to try and get back into the game actually. Not much point in playing a Grimskill Oracle when it just dies to one hit of the weapon.
Do you smell something burning?
If we could like survive for even one turn, then we could try and get a Bloodlust kill, but no, it's not happening. Sludge Slurper, brighter than the moon. Well, we can get rid of 2 of these. Hold on for another turn. We're getting them with fatigue, boys! Wow, Nomi is a lot. So, Nomi only really works in, like, exactly the Myra's deck. But, in that deck it seems to work pretty well. Mind Blast, sure. Okay, so that's a loss. I think we showcased the strengths and weaknesses of the Murloc deck pretty well there. I mean, you could claim I lost that game on turn 1 by playing that 2/3. And it'd be a very valid claim. But anyway, let's move on to one of our other free-to-play decks. So, free-to-play, Secret Paladin. Now, this is another very aggressive deck, but it's a bit more tricksy than Murloc Shaman. Murloc Shaman, you kind of just throw things on the board and your opponent can see what you're up to. At least with Secrets, you've got some tricksy things going on. So you've got like Auto Defense Matrix, Never Surrender, Noble Sacrifice, and Redemption. And all those are going to make it harder for your opponent to do what they want to do. The all-stars in this deck are, you know, cards like Sunreaver Spy, Masked Contender, Bellringer Sentry, and of course Secret Keeper. So, you know, a very basic plan. You're going to mulligan for like Secret Keeper, mulligan for your 1-drops essentially, mulligan for Secret Keeper, mulligan for Argent Squire, try and drop some secrets, and try and just aggro your opponent out the game. We're trying to be a very, very fast deck. Now this deck did originally have, what's her name, Commander Risa and Leroy Jenkins in. Leroy Jenkins in particular, very, very good in this deck, classic legendary. If you don't have Leroy Jenkins crafted, you definitely should. But I went for Call to Adventure because I felt like the deck lacked card draw. And Call to Adventure looked fine. I needed to replace the legendaries, obviously. But there's a lot of options for how you might want to make this deck better. Like, let's have a quick look at the 5 and 6 drop slots. You could even consider, you know, Frostwolf Warlord, Leroy Jenkins. Maybe is Life Drinker still in standard, right? So maybe you consider like Life Drinker. Just things that are going to help you close out the game, basically. We've went for Call to Adventure, just maybe not the best one. Maybe even just like Argent Commander would be better. But hopefully we won't even get that far. You could even consider Reckless Rocketeer as your Leroy Jenkins replacement. But yeah, let's give it a go. I think this deck might be hurt a little bit by the lack of legendaries, but I think its core is still going to be super strong. I mean, just pretend that you're playing a game but you never drew either of those 2 legendaries. It could very well happen, right?
Arthas versus Jaina.
Game 1 against a mage, so their pings are going to be a little bit annoying. We've got to keep that in mind. Never Surrender is a pretty good secret against a mage, but we're going to mulligan for a 1-drop. We really want to, I mean, just like the Murloc mage, really, we want to play a 1-drop, and we want to back that up somehow. So again, I'm going to play, on turn 1, I'm going to coin out, I'm going to play Secret Keeper and coin out Never Surrender. So I'm basically going to do the same play as I did in that Murloc Shaman game, by coining out 2-3. But this 2-3 is protected by a Never Surrender, which feels way, way better. See what our opponent does. Hopefully we draw an Argent Squire, or another Secret Keeper. If we draw a second Secret Keeper, I think we just win the game. Oh, I was disconnected and then reconnected to my game. That's happened a couple times lately. So, I'm guessing this got frostbolted. But now we've got a 4-4 on turn 2, which feels pretty good. We've got another Never Surrender in hand as well. Ideally, you don't want to be necessarily drawing all of these secrets. As contender, if you control a secret, play a secret from your deck. Seems good. Jaka no Jama. Whenever a secret is played, gain +1/+1. If you control a secret, cast a secret from your deck. I guess that means it wasn't played. Either way, we're in a pretty good spot here. I'd like to play this, actually no, we'll play the Bellringer Sentry next turn probably. It's gonna come back with 1 health, right? Excellent. And then it's going to come back with 1 life again if it dies this time. So you can see we're in a like fairly strong place, but we do need some cards to help us try and close out the game. Now this isn't going to do any good because it's going to get downed, and then the get down is going to have an auto shield matrix placed on it. Divine shield. Oh no, this gets the divine shield, even though it's the get down that's getting hit. Okay, I didn't know that actually. And then the get down comes back. We play a Never Surrender, play the Sunreaver Spy, and then we probably put Blessing of Might on this. So I mean, like, yes, they gained some life back with Ziliax, but our board looks very good. We've got a Never Surrender, so if they try and clear this with a spell, hopefully our stuff gets buffed out of that spell's range. However, if it's Frost Nova Doomsayer, there's nothing I can do about that. Well, we got nothing to do but keep extending. There's not really much choice for us. This could be Freeze Mage, which is apparently a pretty strong deck right now because, again, as we've been through, there's no infinite value schemes anymore. So just holding off your opponent until you can assemble a lethal amount of damage is pretty good. However, forcing them to fireball my 1-drop feels very good for us. Blessing of Kings this, because if it dies it gets value anyway. So it makes sense to me to consolidate our value on that. Now the weakness there is if he polymorphs it. But if that's the case, then, you know, that's like 4 mana to eliminate only one of my threats. So all of this basically hinges on, do you have like a Blizzard or something? It seems like it's Freeze Mage, so that would be completely within the realms of possibility. Power of Creation. So you're hoping for a taunt. Presumably. Or something with Rush. But we got that game. So again, like Murloc Shaman, I think we can afford to play a second one. But I'm realizing just you know, if they had managed to deal with that board, how do I win the game? Because I don't have very much direct damage in the deck. You know, I've got the True Silver champion, but that's about it. So you might want to think about, you know, do I need the rush? Sorry, do I need the charge? If that's from Leroy, if you've got Leroy, excellent, absolutely put Leroy in. But you know, in the spirit of making these absolutely free to play friendly, I thought we'd not. So Secret Keeper will be pretty difficult for them to deal with. But as you can see, our secrets and swords aren't lining up right. If we draw another secret, we'll probably just play 2 secrets next turn. Oh, that works, I guess. I really want to protect the Secret Keeper. It feels very important for that thing to live. Okay, can we muster 7 damage onto that thing? Not impossible if we draw a secret. If you control the secret, cast a secret from your deck. Okay, maybe not then. Now it'll be our Secret Keeper that comes back, right? I've been DC'd. I feel like I've been DC'd here. There we go. Alright, Hearthstone being really weird lately. I don't know if it's the servers or me or what. Okay. And then, like, this is only 6 damage. So clearly the best thing is to just go face. Do I want to go face with all of my damage? I think yes, because I've got a second sword in hand anyway. That said, the secret's now going to trigger. And we need to draw into some way to play another secret. Otherwise we're going to be losing this game, I think. Like, we need our Bellringer Sentry or something. This is great because our weapon lines up great against that. And we got another secret. So now if our opponent tries to cast a spell to wipe our board, once again, we've got the Never Surrender. And if they try and do it with like some sort of rush minion, we've got the Auto Defense Matrix. So we're pretty well healed up here. Super Collider. Well, the Auto Defense Matrix kind of helps with that. Sort of. A little bit. This is hopefully going to make them think twice about hitting into our minion again. But it might be difficult to beat their armor gain because we haven't had the most explosive of starts. Especially if you get a Harrison Jones, dude. So you got rid of our Secret Keeper, sure. But you know, we got more than just that going on. Now here, as I say again, Leroy Jenkins, this is where you want him. We'll see what we can do though. It's gonna be hard from this point on. We're completely out of cards, so we're in top deck mode. They've still got 6 cards in hand. They've got a lot of ways to get rid of our stuff. Oh yeah, we got Noble Sacrifice. I said Noble Sacrifice not doing a great deal. However, they're playing like bomb cards instead of cards that stop them from dying. So we need 2 points of extra damage. And if we had a minion on the field, that would have gotten it. But I mean, not playing any charge at all is rough. It makes your Blessing of Might and your Blessing of Kings way worse. Even Knife Juggler feels a little suspect in this deck. Trying to get a Lackey. Maybe to try and discover a spell that gives you armor, perhaps. Or a Taunt. Indeed. We're just going to try and play stuff and try and get something to live, but it seems impossible from here on out. You know, and every time they get to press that button, victory seems a little further away. I forgot this card was still in standard. It's from Witchwood. I forgot. So yeah, I mean that's a loss. Okay. So, you know, again, like the Murloc Shaman deck has its strengths and weaknesses, and this one really does benefit from Leroy Jenkins. So, although I've said, you know, free-to-play friendly decks, and yes, you can play this without any legendaries, I mean, I really would recommend crafting Leroy Jenkins. I think, you know, if you're invested in Hearthstone at all, Leroy Jenkins is one of those classic cards, along with like Blood Mage Thalnos. You just want to craft it, because it's good. Back in the day, it was along with Sylvanas and Ragnaros as well. They've been Hall of Famed. Okay, last but not least, let's take a look at Token Druid. So Token Druid is a deck that is interesting. it's got a lot of different stuff going on, but the basic idea is, you know, kind of similar to Murloc Shaman. You're going to flood out the board and then buff your board as much as possible. The way that you're going to, so I guess the key cards really here are the buff cards. You got Blessing of the Ancients, Twin Spell, give your minions +1/+1, and Savage Roar. Also, Soul of the Forest is like kind of a buff. In some cases, you got a bunch of 1/1s. You play Soul of the Forest, now if they die, you've got actually more powerful cards. One card notably missing from this is Whispering Woods. Because it's like whisper, because it's like a play on words. Whispering Woods here, summon a 1/1 whisper for each card in your hand. Because this version is a bit more aggressive, it's not going to have a ton of cards in its hand at all times. So instead, you know, you got to make do with other stuff. But let's give it a go. Let's see what we got going on here. Some other, as I say, there's a ton of room for innovation in this deck as well. You'll have noticed there's sort of like a Treants sub-theme. You've got this. Summons 5, 2/2 Treants, this can summon Treants, this summons Treants. You've got a lot of Treants going on. And there's enough cards in the game to make Treants actually kind of worthwhile. Like, you could play a Dendrologist and start discovering spells with them. You could be playing Landscaping as a token generator. You could be playing Force of Nature as a token generator. You could then play Tree Speaker, transform your Treants into 5/5 Ancients. So that's one potential avenue. Mulch Muncher as well, Cenarius. All these cards that work quite well with Treants. Another avenue that I've seen is a very spell heavy one, or a spell oriented one, that plays Archmage Vargoth. So the idea is, you know, if you can play a Vargoth along with something like not Forest Shade, but, you know, Landscaping maybe, now you're going to get 4 tokens, you know, for the price. If you play a Vargoth next to your, probably not Savage Roar, next to your Power of the Wild, everything gets +2/+2. So yeah, you go more spell oriented with it as well. So this one probably has the most room for innovation. You know, there's a lot of strong Druid cards. In terms of legendaries, you've got Keeper Saladros, and then you could try and put more choose one effects in there. So, you know, there's stuff to do there, but we're going to play it, you know, cheapest, most basic form that there is, and see if, you know, we're not always necessarily looking for a win. Obviously, we're aiming for it. But you know, sometimes we just want a game that shows off, you know, a bit of the deck's play, how it holds up in the current meta. So round 2 of free-to-play Token Druid, because our first opponent just disconnected, I guess. So we'll never know what's going on. We don't want any of these cards in our opening hand. Cut the rope game, says Salty Brim. one, I like the joke there because it's kind of like it's like cut the rope, like the game where you feed candy to the little monster. But it also reflects on the editing process, and yes, we'll be cutting that game. So our opponent had a 1-drop, and we don't have a 1-drop. So we're losing, I guess. I guess that's how that one works. How do I feel about just coining out a micro-tech controller on the next turn? Something I could be tempted to do, but we do have Forest Aid. So I think one thing to keep in mind, this isn't exactly like the Murloc Shaman deck or the Secret Paladin deck where it's super aggressive. It has some late game viability as well. You know, you're playing an 8-drop spell because you intend sometimes to cast it, you know? Yes, ideally, you get control of the board early, you buff up your stuff, and you win. But, you know, you don't have to always be doing that. So they played a Deadly Poison. I feel like Microtech Controller actually punishes that a little bit. Just by like making a bunch of things with 1 HP. It's like, well, you could have used your regular dagger, but now you've buffed it, and now you feel bad if you use your 3 attack dagger for something that a 1 attack dagger would have killed. I can see the pain. I mean, they might just have like Fan of Knives and then would be a little sad, but also, maybe not that. I'm really, like, even though it was against an opponent that wasn't there, I was really impressed with the Blessing of the Ancients. Oh god. Wait, what? Why would you poison up again for that? What's he doing? Edwin, this is a big Edwin.
The Brotherhood shall
Okay. 8-8 Edwin? I'm not convinced that that's like the end for us. So, you know, just get enough buffs on the board that they've got to feel threatened by our stuff. Like, they've got to keep clearing it, otherwise we might end up winning the race. And we've got way more cards in hand too, which is quite important. Looking at our deck though, it doesn't appear that we've got any taunt. So that's slightly problematic, I suppose. Do we even have any rush? We've got Henchclan Hogsteed, so that's rush. And that's like it. And they're going face. So by them going face, they're saying, alright, let's race this one out. And I think that they can't win that race. Especially when I've got like the Direwolf Alpha here. So how exactly do I want to do this? I think I want to play you. Do this. Oh, I wasted a point of attack. Whoops. That's alright. So yes, they're ahead, but like now our board is quite far ahead. We've got to be a little worried about our life though. We're not running the thing that makes 1/2 lifesteal dudes? That's very surprising. Hey, Metal Squid. How you doing? Okay, I think this is like play a bunch of stuff and then do this. Please no vanish. That'd be pretty bad. Yeah, you've missed about an hour of stream, so we've gone through 3 of the free-to-play decks so far. We're looking at our last one now in Token Druid, but I'll probably like keep playing them after. It's like I've been playing them in this way with the intention of making a video. Oh god, Leroy's a bit scary. Alright, I feel like we need to try and find some healing here. What have you got for me? Lightning Storm, no good. Oh, have I misplayed? Could I have won the game? No, I couldn't. Just got back from a successful day of shoe shopping. That's good, man, because I barely ever have successful days of shoe shopping. What decks have we played already? We played Silence Priest. We played Murloc Shaman. We played Secret Paladin, and now we're playing Token Druid. And we're hoping to not die. But it looks like we got there. Hey! Easy clap. So that was an actual good show off of the Token Druid deck. We'll play one more with Token Druid just because our first one was, you know, terribly cut off. But maybe we edit that out. All free to play, which performed the best? Well, we've only played like a game or two with each. And they've all won at least one game is the thing. I think in terms of free to play, this one might be the best, and it also has the best, it has the most flexibility in terms of changing it about a bit. You notice we're not actually playing the summon 2 1/2s with lifesteal, which is really surprising to me. I guess I copied this list and didn't actually look it over. So we should absolutely be thinking about that card. But you know, they've all got potential, and they can all be slightly improved. I mean, Silence Priest looks like it's very difficult to improve that with it looks like it's very difficult, sorry, to improve Silence Priest with legendaries. It looks like that deck is going to be mostly commons, rares, and like, I think our list didn't even play any epics. So it's mostly going to be commons and rares. Wow, okay. This person wants to be shuffling bombs into our deck.
I fight.
Do I want to kill this? No, I don't think I do. I think I want to go first. I think we can get a good little race going. Cool, cool, cool. Absolutely. Wrench Caliber. I think we just pop this into you. That sounds like a strange thing to say. We just pop this into you. And then chances are enough stuff lives that Savage Roar just kills next turn. Once again, demonstrating the immense power of the Token Druid archetype.
Light the fuses.
No, Savage Roar should still get there. 5, this adds an additional 6, so yeah, we win. Not before we get bombed. But I mean, look at that. Turn 5 win. Against a warrior. Pretty good. It's free to play deck. Try it out. It's good. Give it a go. Hey, and thanks for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a little like and a comment to help me out, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And to catch these moments live, come follow the Twitch stream. We've also got a Discord channel full of awesome people, so check that out too. All links in the description box below. Have a great day, and see you next time.